Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons The Second Age. How are you all doing?
Nervous.
Oh, very good.
Nervous.
We'll be fine.
I should probably be
Now
nervous.
we're all dead. This is where Second Age ends. We're now just statues on an abandoned demon island.
That would be quite an anticlimax.
Yeah, that'd be like... Yeah, let's not die here, guys.
As opposed to somewhere else.
I feel like that was.
Oh no, like if we all die and it's like in a dramatic final fight with like like one of the main like archdemons or whatever, then like yeah, that's fucking badass. But if we all get turned to stone in a gorgon in the middle of a demon island while like not even close to completing investigations, that's just boring.
So, before we get too carried away, who wants to take the time to remind us of what happened the last time we played? So you had just arrived on the Isle of Lathaman's Cay previously.
Well, it was we headed into the village, or however you would
Town.
describe it. Fought some zombies.
Mhm.
Fought some. Well, first a lone zombie, then a bunch of zombies with some
Demon
rocks,
birds.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
frogs,
demon
yeah.
birds.
Just
Yeah,
call them
frogs.
demon birds. They're demon birds.
Look, it's fine. We fought them off. Stayed below a little. Found some warforged. Then we got to what appears to be Letterman's mansion. I think, or well, at least some kind of like hideout
Yeah.
that belongs to him.
The abode of Lord Protector Arke Lathaman was the engraving above the door.
Yeah, abode sounds a lot fancier.
It does sound very
Um,
fancy.
Like whilst walking around, we did find Grim found a sword, a magical sword. We have not actually checked the sword yet,
Nope, you have not worked out what the magic sword does.
because it's definitely not the magical sword of plant slaying, which would have been very useful.
Well,
or
we wouldn't. Even if it was, we wouldn't know. We didn't use it.
no, but like if discover in hindsight, that would be
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
yes, the blade of pesticide.
The blade of pest.
The blade
Wow.
of pesticide.
But yeah, well, once at the entrance there was a somewhat not quite sentient statue, but
An enchanted
More like
statue.
yeah, that basically was the kept an eye on the door and
system.
yeah. We tried to get in through various means, for various identities. In the end, just we're like, yeah, can we just speak to someone that's here? We were allowed in. We found more zombies. A zombie creating blob of thing.
Yeah,
Plant
weird
mass.
corpse plant thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
blob of thing is the best description I can think of.
Blubber thing just sounds like a really weird version of Wobbuffet.
Amazing. We kind of looted the floor. We didn't check the cellar nor the floor up,
The upper levels, yeah.
and then we
'Cause
found we found the I guess we call the servant in a room full of statues of people who looked kind of terrified.
It's clearly a minion.
Yes.
Minion. Yes, that will do.
Strange clay-looking minion. Called-
How do you know he's not
called
a
worm.
servant minion? He might be a servant and a minion.
Both works. Who told us that the person we were supposed to meet was waiting behind the door, and we've kept her waiting long enough.
Yes. The Lady Vasulia.
Yes. And she's not going to be happy because she just kept waiting, and we don't have any gifts for her. Or at least nothing that we were willing to give. Could go back and pluck some mushrooms, but I don't think that would go down well.
No.
It's
No,
probably
I think mushrooms are abundant in this place. I don't think she needs more.
Well, it would also be the equivalent of like walking into someone's rose garden, plucking a rose, then walking to their front door and being like, "Would you like a rose?" It's like, oh,
Yeah, do you know what that is? That's the plot. That's what every man does in a rom-com. So we'd be totally justified in doing.
No,
It apparently
we're not
works.
A rom-com.
Apparently it works.
I feel like you need a new source of life experience.
Oh.
But regardless, yeah, we were pretty much about to open the door.
You were. Don't know if you guys have oriented yourselves yet, but you are here.
Yeah, we're in front
Any
of the
last
door.
regrets?
Last
Oh yeah, we assumed that the person in there can turn people into stone.
Yes.
What if we're just really wrong about that? Like, how funny would that be?
Well, I did like mention at one point that it could be an ornate carver that just
Yeah.
likes dead people.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty likely.
wishful thinking.
Wow.
Anyways, we don't know. It's
So,
Well, we're about to find out now.
as Grim, you push one door, Elizabeth, you sort of lean on the other one. The doors open to reveal what perhaps once may have been an elaborate ballroom or theatre at some stage. It's got a black and white marble tiled floor that has been mottled by age, and in some places has cracked to the point of rupturing the ground from underneath it. Blossoming forth are a number of tufts of mushrooms, some of them similar to the ones that you've seen before, and some quite unlike those that you've seen before. It's lit primarily by the bioluminescence of the local flora and fauna. And as you as the doors roll forwards, several figures turn towards you. Humanoid shapes, but very bizarre, almost alien appearance to them. They look almost to be made of mushrooms or some other plant life themselves that are has formed an almost insect-like carapace over their bodies.
Gross.
Their arms extend into long, thin, almost like almost beak-like appendages that open and close like tiny tweezer pincers, and they seem to be in the process of tending to or caring for a number of these fungi. On the raised stage at the back end of the room is seated a massive, twisted, what looks from this distance to be metal, although its organic shape suggests that it may be more than just metal. Is a large throne, and seated cross-legged atop this throne is a woman with what once may have been like a human skin tone that has sort of been mottled with browns and greys. Her clothing seems almost to be formed out of various pieces of plant life. She's got elaborate shoulders on this long dress that seem to be like cups, mushroom cups that have grown along the side of it. And streaming from her head instead of hair are a series of long scaled tentacles.
Called it.
And yeah, as you look up towards this figure, despite barely being able to make out her facial features. Those of you who find your gaze lingering perhaps a little longer than a few seconds, you begin to feel like a tenseness of your muscles beginning, until you tear away your gaze. But observing her out of the periphery of your vision, she stands from her throne, and makes a beckoning gesture for the four of you to enter.
Well, let's move up. I feel like here would be a good spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as the four of you step into the room, she, the figures around her sort of stop what they're doing and pay attention to you and take, almost like seeming like defensive poses and turn away from their work for a moment. And she, gesturing with her hands, sort of says, "Well, well. So I'm very excited to learn exactly what a disciple of Mordenkainen and 3 bodyguards are doing on my island. Particularly after I receive word that my gatherers have been slaughtered and my tenders have been torn asunder."
Well, there's an easy explanation. We came here in order to assess the situation on the island, due to the lack of any communication for, well, how long has it been? Oof.
Centuries.
Yeah, something like that. And anyone sent here seems to go missing.
And so your mission is diplomacy or curiosity?
Diplomacy.
Well,
A little bit of both.
like diplomacy is the core, but like curiosity is is the reason why we like do this.
There's a considered moment as she sort of seems to mull that statement over for a moment and says, "So, if your mission then is to broker some form of communication, then why would they send someone from the school of my fiance's most hated rival?"
We'll be honest. We were just hoping to fool.
Yeah, when I said I may have exaggerated when I said that. For it being so long, Mordekainen is of course long dead.
A pause.
I am as much a student of his as I am of any wizard that thought to write on the theories of magic.
Big, for example, litter.
And as a scholar myself, I couldn't Well, it's this whole place is of great interest. It's absolutely fascinating to stand amongst structures so old and yet still standing, despite being absent for so long.
Grim, make me an insight check at disadvantage.
This will not go poorly. Insight.
Okay.
Well, that is better than I expected.
What did I miss? Everything went quiet for a second.
Oh, I asked Minnie to roll me an insight check for Grim.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So she hand waves like as you're giving this sort of speech. Says yes, quite. So rather than come here and explain to me your reasons, your motivations for wanting to set foot on this isle, you decided to resort to deception.
Well, everyone was presumed dead. And, well, the creature, your gatherers, attacked on sight. So we assumed that they were the cause of the misfortune.
Not so much a cause, more of an after effect. But you would be forgiven for taking such an aggressive approach to them. They are simple constructs and serve a singular purpose. They protect what it is that I have given them. So, I suppose the outstanding question is, now that you have arrived, what is it that you are intending to do? Because it is as indeed you have said, everyone here is deceased.
Well, you are clearly not deceased. And
No.
well, we were hoping you'd be willing to. Well, you could tell us about what happened, if you would be willing to, or would be so kind.
Give me a persuasion check.
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh,
Grim.
Look,
why did we let Grim talk?
Everybody else took the initiative, yeah.
No, he's also
Yeah.
the talker, despite this.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh, that's
shit,
pretty
Grim.
good.
Despite my amazing talking skills, yeah.
Curious. So you wish to hear the story of everything that has happened?
Well, you may go as detailed as you wish, but broad strokes will suffice, I guess.
Well, I will admit, this is not how I thought this encounter would go, considering my previous encounters with your kind. But I would be rude not to humour you. Please, have a seat.
Oh. Are there any chairs? Just looking around.
Examining the room, not really.
I'll stay standing.
I'll just make the like like a look around and keep on looking until something is
Okay.
said, I think, or just stop looking. Nah, I guess I'd stop after a while and just.
Yeah. So yeah, you sort of like cast your gaze around, and she sort of like she stays there for a few moments and then sort of says, "Ah, yes, chairs. Forgive me."
Well,
And I guess. Are you particularly like observing her at this point?
As much as I can without
Without,
like
yeah,
freezing.
yeah. Okay, so you're like stealing glances every now and again. Make me a perception check with disadvantage, Elizabeth.
Hey, that's pretty
Okay.
good.
So she tilts her head up for a moment, but you like as you're trying to observe her, you feel like you're like there's a pain in your as your jaw begins to lock up, and you're like, nope, can't look. But from I need some tokens. I guess from behind you. Four of the infested come in from behind, carrying chairs.
Yeah, I'm not sitting in that.
And yeah, they walk up behind all of you, place the chair, and then leave.
oh. Thank you very much. Yes. I'll just
Yeah.
sit in a chair.
Okay.
I don't want to be rude.
Like, unless there's something like obviously wrong with chairs, but
I mean, they're musty and ever so slightly mouldy around the cushions, but
oh,
Basically,
Yeah,
A little bit
there's
of mold
nothing
hasn't-
on them that wouldn't be on them if they'd just been left alone for centuries.
yeah, they're mouldy old ancient chairs.
extra cushioning.
I think I will also stay standing.
Okay.
I will take up like not take up, but like stand slightly to I guess the right of Grim.
Okay.
I will attempt to look as if I'm fulfilling the role of a bodyguard of sorts, despite Grim clearly not looking like he needs it, but you know.
Okay. Yeah.
It looks less weird that way, I guess.
So yeah, you're just taking up like a sort of a shoulder position on Grin.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Come sit on my shoulder.
absolutely not. Also, I'd
Yeah.
probably crush you.
And the chair.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Like Kelariis is like leaning on the back of your chair. And so yeah, the woman gestures her hands and says, "Well, perhaps by now you are already aware of who I am. Might I ask who you are?"
Well, we represent the Amber Eagle, and we decided to, well, take this on as an opportunity to, well, perhaps gain some favor with varying establishments.
I see.
And I guess I should also tell you I'm Quagrim Daemaris. And I'll just I'll do the open my hand and like point at one of you guys.
Yep. You
Yeah.
pass off the introduction.
Yeah, like
I mean,
your
yeah,
turn.
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
I'll just say my name is Elizabeth Topaz Agiad. I'll give a short sort of mini bow, but still sat down.
Mhm.
And I'm Arya Tallithsyr.
And
I'm not
Clar's-
bowing.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, same mood, Arya. Kelariis Greysurge.
A curious mix. Well, despite the fact that your kind seem to have forgotten good custom, I'm willing to humour this exchange.
Oh, that is much appreciated.
To cut a long story short, this island domain was once home to individuals such as yourselves, humans. And for a time, I too was among them. But circumstances change, and I was given an opportunity by a higher power to transcend my mortal shell and become something more. And so now, I am Lady Vasulia, servant of the Lady of Decay, and Queen of the Eyeless. And this is my home. As for those who have visited in the past, well, there have been treasure hunters and looters who sought to take all things of value from this relic of days gone by. They either met their fates at the hands of my eyeless and became part of their number, or they must have had an unfortunate incident with my late fiancé's protectors.
Oh. That sounds reasonable. So, well, from what you say, I assume that means you're not the only one that lives on the island.
I'm one of the few living beings on this island that is not... And she sort of gestures at the rest of the room. Part of the island. These creatures here, for example. Do you know what they are?
Never.
I have not seen their like before. I can't say.
That is unsurprising. When I first came here, these creatures were... They resembled something a little different. They were known as myconids, an indigenous species native to the island, formed of living fungus. The people of the island saw them as little more than a pest or a parasite, obstruction to their creation of a new paradise. We hunted them almost entirely to extinction until the Lady of Rot showed me the truth beauty of their existence. By this point there was only a few of them left, and they were not capable of surviving by themselves, so I used my new gifts to reshape them, give them a new form. And this I have cultivated over the entire time that your species has been absent from this island. Safely guarded away by my gatherers and tenders, they have flourished into these new forms, quite deadly and quite perfect. But not creatures as you would recognize them. They are intelligent, but one could not hope to contend on an intellectual level with one of yourselves, for example. But they do make excellent servants.
Of course.
And so I suppose I have answered one of your questions. Perhaps then you will answer one of mine.
That seems fair enough.
I'm curious. You have arrived within a few weeks of another group. One significantly less polite.
Oh, we have a hunch as to who you might be referring to.
I thought you might.
We weren't actually sure if they were going to be here or not, but they refer. I don't know if you've encountered how much you've encountered them, but they refer to themselves as the Cabal. They seem to be a group of ancient vampires with there's a fair or a considerable amount of magical power, at least, and seem to enjoy elaborate plans to achieve their goals.
I see. So my question to you is, what is your relationship to them?
It's I'd say it's complicated, but
It's certainly not positive.
well, they are trying to recruit us into their group. However, we have not been very receptive of their attempts, and partially that might be due to their
Methods.
yeah. They
claim to have similar goals to us, but they use methods that we can't condone. The same methods of the foe we supposedly share.
Yes. Also, their way of asking to recruit you is by sending a bunch of demons and attackers in general, vampires at you, and then if you live, you've pretty much passed. Which, well, I can imagine. Perhaps you can imagine how we felt about that. It was well, like we survived, of course, but it was not the most pleasant of ways. There is something else that we can tell you about them, which might also be of your might be of interest to you.
I'm listening.
We believe they are here in search of some artifacts. I believe like the artifacts that they seek would go by the name of the Scorpion Crown, the Winged Hexagram, and Truniazov. The last one is a bit hard to pronounce, but
okay. As you mention the first one, she lets out a low hiss.
They, from what we know, they seek the power of these relics to ultimately achieve their goal, and we do not trust them to possess such items. So we had hoped to prevent them from acquiring them.
Yeah. Anything that stops them is usually a good thing. However, we do not know how involved you would be willing to be in this process, or if you wish to be involved at all.
I may already be involved more than you think. You say that they believe themselves to have similar goals to you. Does that mean that you too are searching for this item?
Well,
That you wish to claim
are-
it?
we have no need or real desire for the item. Our desire is to keep the item from them more than anything else.
Yes, we don't want to possess it ourselves. We just want them to not have it.
I guess we might as well share their or mention what their goal is. I assume you're familiar with Ferrous, dude.
I am aware.
And you might be aware that he has been locked away.
I am.
Various groups are trying to, undo that. And instead of we both, to some degree, want to stop that from happening, from Ferrous being released, which I think almost everyone could agree with or to. The issue, however, is that they believe the best way of doing this is by slowly manipulating the group that's trying to find them and try and make them run in circles. But I've noticed that by the looks of it, they seem to still occasionally get shards anyway whenever they're involved. So I'm not sure how long this charade, or whatever you want to call it, would last. Admittedly, they are willing to. Well, there is basically nothing is off limits to them. They've happily summoned in several demons from fairly high-ranking like generals and that kind of stuff, just in order to potentially achieve their goal. Which, yeah.
Interesting. And you say you've had run-ins with them before and survived?
We've run into them.
Indeed.
I guess we've run into them face to face once, but we've run into their dealings more often than that.
Especially since their dealings seem to involve testing us in some way.
Well, and apart from that, they also they leave behind quite the trail of destructions, usually under the guise of something else. But
yes, they have already
what
destroyed a number of promising assets that I was cultivating. Well, to be completely honest with you, when I first heard you had arrived on the island, I was expecting this to end with perhaps a couple of new statues in my collection, but I think perhaps you may be more useful to me than I had originally anticipated.
Being used by a demon is not.
Shh. Shh.
I happen to know a great deal about this scorpion crown. Its original holder is my new mistress, the Lady of Rot. It was taken from her careful protections by none other than my late fiancé. And whilst it is safely secured for now, I wonder how long it will be before they manage to get their hands on it. I have spent a number of years myself attempting to overcome the security measures in place to protect this Scorpion Crown, to obtain it, to return it to my mistress. I think perhaps with someone who claims to have studied under all of the greatest wizards, that perhaps you may have the skills you need to gain access. I'm willing to offer my knowledge. In exchange, when you obtain the item and defeat this cabal, you will return the item to me. And as payment, perhaps I will let you keep the things that you have already taken from my home.
That sounds reasonable.
We have no idea who she's referring to, I assume, when she keeps talking about, like, her new mistress, the Lady of Rot, etc.
Give me religion
Yeah.
checks.
Just anyone?
Anybody who thinks they might know.
Well, I have a surprisingly good shot at it, so...
Oh, I accidentally rolled. Oh, it didn't matter.
Well,
I accidentally rolled with disadvantage, but it didn't even matter. 9.
Okay.
Oh, nice one,
Yeah, that's
Kelariis.
about what I expected.
You're all drawing blanks.
Fantastic.
Even Clara.
Even Kelariis.
well... I guess that only leaves one... Well, considering we will agree to those terms, I guess the question is, what do we need to know? Well, besides where it is.
Well, there are a few things that may be of interest to you. My late fiancé was obsessed with the research of this item. Kept it sealed away in a secure place, one that he, Mordenkainen, and a few others helped to develop. It is built by some of the most cunning minds of a generation, and it is protected by an army capable of self-sustaining. In order to access it, you will need to find the secret passageway to the vault. The only way to access this is through the fortress on the north of the island. To get through it, you will need to pass through the army, as they are the ones who defend it.
Okay. Well, seems like an inconvenience, but we've done. Well, I'd say we've done something similar before, but that would be. Oh, actually, yeah, we've held an army off before.
This is not like any conventional army, and I'm afraid your other alternative is to swim through a couple of 100 miles of molten rock. So unless that is an option,
I think grinding our way through an army seems
More viable.
more viable within our lifespan.
I had a feeling.
What can you tell us about the army then?
You may already have seen some parts of it, depending on how observant you are.
The machines.
Precisely.
You mean some are still functional?
The large majority are still functional. They are capable of self-repair and restoration. The only ones that have ever been truly destroyed are the ones that... And she gestures towards the four beings in the room, are the ones that my creatures were able to handle.
And we did see some outside. Like the dead one, that is.
Well, suffice it to say, they will not be easy to take down. But there are quite a number of them, and they are known to be able to adapt to circumstances. When I first ascended and began to build up my forces, my initial attempts were thwarted by soldiers wielding swords made of metal, but as time has gone on, they seem to have invented, adapted, changed. Things are now much more different than they once were, despite my repeated efforts to learn about them and contain them. But I have learned one important detail.
Of course. What would that be?
The castle is well protected by this army, but there is one room within the castle that essentially functions as a mind for all of the entities that defend that castle, and a number that defend the secret passageways into the vault as well. Unfortunately, since his fallings out with Mordenkainen, my late fiancé ensured that the security could only be accessed by him personally.
Okay. Well,
Would your late fiancé have kept anything within the premises here that might give us more information?
He left his library, which I personally find a little cumbersome, but you may find something within there.
I doubt he would leave plans for security lying around there. But worst case, we find something. Or don't find something, more accurately.
And best case, we find exactly what we need.
Yes.
Doubt that, but
Well. Okay. By the sounds of it, we should probably get to it. Although, there is one thing you might be able to answer for us. Considering this other group is on the island, are they? I assume they are in the north then, or
From what I have managed to scout out using my limited resources, I understand that they have a ship that is moored somewhere on the northern side of the island.
Huh.
I do not know where. I do not know how strong they are, but they are primarily focused there, with a few scouting parties that have been sent to probe this region.
that is very helpful, because at least we know where to expect them and well, yeah, that will be a great help. But hopefully we can avoid them altogether for now, until we've sorted the situation.
Well,
We should probably get going then.
well,
Yes, well, it seems we have an agreement.
indeed. Should you wish to rest and recuperate, you are welcome to stay within the premises for a short time. I would offer you food, but
Well,
that has not been a concern for me for quite some time.
Yes, we did bring our own. You needn't worry about that.
Well, if you wish to rest using the upper chambers, then I will ensure that my servants do not disturb you, those of you that you deigned to let live.
Yeah, still sorry, a little bit sorry about that.
I'm not sorry at all.
But I'm not going to say that.
Jesus Christ.
It is no real concern. They are replaceable, although the corpse flower will require a little more effort than I was hoping, but hopefully there will be a few more necromancer bodies by the time that you're done with the cabal.
Yes. Well, there will inevitably be some buddies.
Well, then I think growing a replacement will be somewhat easier.
Okay. Well,
Then
we'll try and avoid killing as many, or well, I guess we will try and kill as few of them as possible.
That
whilst
would be
they're out there as
appreciated.
well.
My control beyond the manor is limited. It is based on spores.
They're not
So
too
I can
fast.
I may only control them for a short distance within the area. But
Well,
and
we'll do our
one
best.
last thing.
Yes.
For your own safety, the basement is off limits. Unless you fancy a appointment with my mistress, then I would advise you stay away.
Very
I
well.
think sometimes curiosity can be held off. We'll just we'll take your word for it. But yes, we would.
with no further
happily-
matters to discuss, we will take our leave.
Yes.
You are dismissed.
And I'll give her a quick courtesy before I leave.
Okay.
Again, just trying to be polite.
See? This curtsy and bowing shit Elizabeth does has got to stop.
Look, she doesn't want to get turned to stone. I'm
It
sorry.
annoys the shit out of Arya.
Okay.
Okay.
So you
Um,
guys
well.
turn and leave?
Yes.
Well, I guess we'll head to the chambers upstairs.
Yes. There is not a specific map for them, but
Is it already time to sleep? I don't.
Well, I mean, yeah. I want to go back to the library.
I mean, yeah, it's like the middle of the day, but she did
Uh.
offer you the chance to rest if you wanted it.
Yeah, well, I guess we might as well go for the library first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that we're like much safer in here, I want to spend loads of time reading all of these books. No, not literally all of them, but like most of them.
Okay, so as you head out of the room back into the gallery, the strange clay-like creature is still there, hiding behind the statue, and now there are four infested who are just sort of standing there, like not particularly like looking at anything, just like staring directly forward, not reacting to anything.
Well, I guess we can just walk past them. They should be passive for now.
That was quite the impressive feat.
Hmm?
The small clay creature sort of like leans out and says, "You're still alive."
Indeed.
A little bit of goodwill gets you pretty far.
You are the
So
first
don't
mortal
us
creature.
being that easy to kill.
You are the first mortal creatures ever to walk out of that room.
I would like to think that my experiences with the wealthy and the noble helps from time to time.
Mm. The Lady Vasulia is not like others. So long.
Farewell.
Just disappears into the shadows.
Alright.
Well, here goes nothing.
Yeah.
Walking past
Okay.
the drones.
They pay absolutely no heed.
We did it, guys. They're passive.
I still don't trust them.
Okay.
You know, I don't think you can ever be comfortable around them.
I
Play.
don't think so.
I mean, I must confess
Why-
to a
Why
morbid
not?
curiosity.
They're human corpses animated by mushrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's nothing
controlled-
wrong with that.
Well, apparently,
Casual, normal. It's all good.
apparently controlled by spores, which doesn't. It's not the ideal system.
Doesn't bode well for us either. I don't particularly want to spend time in a library for ages. Arya, do you want to like go and look around upstairs?
Yeah, sure.
Should probably refrain
mean-
from looting stuff.
I'm not gonna
'cause
loot anything. I just want to
No,
see
no.
what's upstairs.
I was just more like just making sure. Yeah, this is one of those things. If you've said it out loud, then there's no doubt about it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you guys don't want to sit here and watch me flick through dusty old books and scrolls, you're happy to go elsewhere. I'll be okay on my own.
I've got plenty of interest in it.
Okay.
Because I don't.
2 up, 2 down. Okay. So, Elizabeth and Grimm spend a period of time doing some research.
Yes.
Woohoo.
Meanwhile, Kelariis and Arya, you head upstairs. Excuse me. Arriving at the upper floor, you can see that a quick glance around basically lets you see that the space up here is much more. It's much more like a living quarters of this manor. There are a number of rooms, one large sitting room, a handful of what appear to be guest bedrooms, and one which is quite possibly the master bedroom, as it is the largest and seemingly most elaborately decorated. As well as one small side room that seems to have like a number of thin stone panels up against one wall that looks like at one point it may have had an alchemical workbench of some kind installed within it that seems to have been ripped out and cannibalized into perhaps into something else, as there's like just discarded pieces like scattered across the room. Is there anything you want to look for in particular, or any of the rooms that particularly catch your attention?
I know we said we didn't want to loot. I kind of want to look in the master bedroom.
Okay. Make me an investigation check as you search the master bedroom.
I'm not gonna like turn it over top to bottom. It's more just like, what's up in here?
Okay. Arya, what
I'll
about
help
you?
you.
Okay, you're gonna help. Okay. So you can roll that again, Kelariis.
I mean, you roll pretty good on your own.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need my help.
Well, that was help, but yeah. So, Kelariis, you root around in the master bedroom. You find in a locked box in one of the drawers. But it's basically like a small jewelry box that's obviously like meant to contain valuable belongings. And
Jewelry.
jewelry. And at some point, it obviously has like a small keyhole for a tiny key, which you find in the same drawer. Underneath, sort of like what looks perhaps that might have once have been like mulch. It's now a fine mulch, but is perhaps once was like clothes, made of plant fiber. Upon putting the key into the box and opening it, contained inside is a number of very still very beautiful but quite tarnished dress jewelry, with a number of not extremely rare but like still very valuable gemstones set into them. Up to you whether or not you take them or leave them.
Well, I don't think we can take them at this point.
Yeah, I was just curious what was like if there was
Okay.
anything else like particularly interesting.
So,
I'm not gonna
You leave that, whilst Arya goes through a handful of other things. You open one of the bedside cabinets, and inside it is a immaculate book, completely untouched by the ravages of time.
Does it have anything like on the cover or?
It not written on it. No, it is bound in red leather, but it has no writing on the cover or spine.
I want to touch it, but I feel like that's a bad idea. Sorry, did Arya find this or did I?
You found it while I was looking in other places.
I want to call Arya over and just kind of like think it's a bad idea to pick it up, take it downstairs or something.
I don't know. I feel like we should just bring those up here if we want to show that to them.
I mean, somebody's gonna have to pick it up eventually if we want to look at it. So like, on one hand, we could be the ones to pick it up, or it could be one of them downstairs. So.
I mean, we could pick it up, I guess, but I wouldn't take it out of the room.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess we'll bring the others up here and let them know when they're done with whatever they're doing in the library.
Okay. Okay, so we'll jump over. Guys who are looking through the library, are you looking for anything specific?
Well, I guess specifically, either stuff to do. I guess either stuff to do. Well, Elizabeth at least is looking for either stuff to do specifically with Latherman himself, or anything about his work.
Okay.
Kind of hoping that anything about the army itself, or even, anything like that is recorded.
Okay. So. Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess to represent poring over these books for information, make me a. I guess make this an extended investigation check, and Grim can help if he wants.
I missed that last.
You can help if you want to give Elizabeth advantage for the checks.
Yeah, well, I guess I was kind of looking for some different stuff, but
Okay, you can. Yeah, you can either help Elizabeth or you can look for your own stuff.
I don't mind either way.
yeah. Like, I imagine we'd still, like, if we find something that's relevant for the other, but well, yeah, that's fine. It works.
Okay,
So,
so
anyway.
extended investigation, Elizabeth. Okay.
No help required.
I mean, that's still a 9, a 10, and an 8.
That is.
I just have a +10. So if anything, that's really sad.
So, it doesn't take you very long at all to find a number of books on basically it seems that Lathamon had a particular fascination with a creation that Mordenkainen and a bunch of other wizards had managed to theorize about. The creation of magically powered automata. Basically taking the magical principles behind spells like Unseen Servant and essentially transferring that to a creature of machine and metal that could perform potentially complex tasks, more so than the Unseen Servant, who is obviously quite physically weak and only capable of limited functions and has a limited time and is a constant drain on magic to keep casting. So they theorized that what if you could take an Unseen Servant and bind it permanently to a frame? So Lathamon quite clearly had an intense fascination for this and the world of artifice and construction. And you go through a number of books and scientific papers and theories about something he constantly refers to as Lathamon's adaptable army. And from a number of sketches, a number of books, Lathamon's adaptive army is it was a incredibly ambitious project to create a bunch of these automated servants that could be set up to perform simple tasks, but could also be adapted to even more advanced things such as warfare, crafting, repair, all sorts of other things. To the point where he goes on this massive tangent about what if you could make an adaptable army that could build an adaptable army? Like, what are the limitations? What's the potential, etc. And he clearly has a lot of intelligent developments regarding this and the limits of such a thing, and how best to have it perform within society, within limitations, etc. And comes across a number of qualms, such as like, how do you teach an automata what is socially acceptable? How do you get it to learn a regular farmer from a criminal if they're a guard robot or something? And there's a lot of theories on this, and Lathamon, in his own notes in this stuff, seems to have a number of disagreements with Mordenkainen on the ideas of how intelligent potentially these automata could be. Mordenkainen consistently pushes for making these machines more human, whereas Lathamon is like, no, we must keep these simple. They are tools. They're not to be made people. Which is curious, considering your knowledge of the supposed first age automata that you've heard about, Warforged, which were, for all intents and purposes, intelligent robots or intelligent automata.
Yeah.
So more on the precise front of what you learn is you learn that Lathamon's research into these things. He talks routinely about a laboratory in his in his stronghold, where he has created a number of these things. He has them working. He occasionally, at times, mentions a minor frustration that he has, where his fiancée is opposed to having these machines in the home because he really wants to try them out in a domestic environment. But she is vehemently opposed to this idea, and it's quite frustrating from his point of view as a researcher. And you basically learn that the massive benefit of that these things have is that they do not require food, they do not require rest. They essentially, rather than sleeping like a regular humanoid would, they can simply enter a low power state for about 4 hours. There is very little requirement for them to ever sort of like change guard shifts or replace power sources or anything like that. And he theorizes that these things, based on the amount of magic it takes to create them and sustain them, essentially in a place that had enough sufficiently ambient magic, these things could last for centuries. Which, if what Lady Vasulia has told you is accurate, is very true. Is there anything else you want to know about these about Lathaman's adaptive army?
Not at the moment, although I will admit I'm slightly curious if he's mentioning his fiancée, does he actually mention her name?
Does he mention the name? Yes, he does, and he refers to her as Lady Vasulia.
Okay. I guess I was just curious as wondering if she changed her name when becoming a Gorgon. But clearly not.
So actually, it probably refers to her as Lady Vasulia Erdrin. Which, make me a history check.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay. Something about Erdrin, like, clicks in the back of your mind, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
God fucking damn it. All of these things I've got a +10 in, and I don't think I've ever actually rolled a 10 higher than a 10 on the dice. Ever.
Not today.
I so rarely do, it's infuriating.
So Grim, during this time, this takes like maybe an hour or so of researching.
Well, like the one thing I wanted to also, there's two things that we didn't look into that I was also interested in. Like if there happen to be any mentions of the Lady of Rots, that would be great. And secondly, anything about architecture or the construction of the fortress or tower.
Okay. Sure. Make me an extended investigation check of your own.
Yeah, I was also interested in the Warforged and stuff, but that, like, I feel like we kind of learned enough about those.
Yes. Well, you learned about Lathaman's adaptive army. You didn't necessarily learn about the Warforged.
That's true. Well, we learned that they might not be Warforged.
They may not be Warforged, no. The first part of your researching is disturbed by Elizabeth saying, "Ooh, look at this!" every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But you do learn some interesting things about Lathaman's adaptive army. As you go through the books, among the books that are discarded in the corner underneath a mushroom, you find one purple-covered book that basically has a number of like arcane sigils drawn on the front of it, and in you don't read Dwarvish, do you?
No.
Okay. So basically, like the front of this book is yeah, it basically has, I think it's 9 faces. Yeah, it basically has an artwork of 9 faces on it. All of them are genuinely horrific to look at. And although actually, technically I suppose it's 10 faces because one of them has 2 heads. Yeah, generally it's a terrifying thing to look at and take in, like all of these horrific depictions of faces drawn in silver filigree on this purple leather cover. And as you look at it, there is the tiniest whisper of Puck's voice in the back of your head that says, "I recognize a few of those faces."
Perfect. If Puck is involved, it's awful. But
Yeah, you flip it open and it's all in Dwarvish. So you might need some help with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What was your second question on the architecture and construction of the castle?
Yeah, just like the, because it was like the tower castle thing that she referred to.
Yes. So you find buried under a pile of other stuff what looks like some architectural blueprints. Upon rolling them out, they do appear to be original construction designs for a fortress.
That's curious.
They have notes written on them in 2 different hands. One of them which lines up with the what you've seen so far that appears to be Lathaman's hand, and somebody else's that you don't recognize.
Well, considering from what she told us, there's a slight chance that it's Mordecai.
It's possible. What questions do I don't actually have blueprints for the castle because I haven't made them.
Yeah.
But what questions do you have to ask about the castle?
She mentioned a room that was basically like the mind of the army.
Yes.
If we were able to locate that, that might be helpful. And just like well, I was thinking, hoping to get an idea of the general layout, so we wouldn't be lost when we got in there. Pretty much.
Okay. So I will say that when you get to the castle and you need a map, I will give you the map rather than making you explore the map.
Cool. Hooray.
And yeah, in terms of the supposed control room, there's nothing marked like brain room or control room, but there is what looks like a series of laboratories laid out, with a large room in the center that is referred to as the Central Research Annex. And in the hand that you do not recognize, there is a note in this room that is referred to as the Central Research Annex, that says, "What wizard worth his salt puts all his secrets in one place?" ?
Dun dun.
The only thing I can think of doing in the hopes to get more answers is see if there potentially is a candle trick like the other one. I have like 10 candles on me, so
Okay, yeah. So you light a candle and like look around it.
anything, any
With,
messages.
with your investigation of 20, there are no secrets on this. The blueprint is as candid as it comes.
Okay.
Though from looking at it, these were likely original plans. It may not conform precisely to the original plans. Like rooms may get repurposed, but
Yeah.
the foundation and the construction should be the same.
I think the one other room that I would take note of is if there's a room that could be seems to have extra security, because that seems like a secondary candidate for
There's no beyond physical security. There's no mention of any security on these blueprints. But there are a number of rooms towards this southern edge of this fortress, which you presume must line up with the mountain itself. From the the background to this bit is like hashed out as if it's a solid surface behind it. There are a number of rooms towards the back of this fortress that have double-layered doors, like two heavy doors, like next to each other, like blocking off a corridor, which looks like it might be sort of enhanced security.
Okay. So then we've got 2 candidates that should help us. If we can get into, although if we can just bypass it all with the secret. Actually, no, the secret passage only gets us in. Really.
From looking at the map as well, it doesn't look like there's a passage leading into the fortress. It looks like there's a passage leading from the fortress to somewhere in the mountain.
Oh wait, so the passage we're seeking for is in the fortress.
Is in the fortress.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like she said, the army is guarding the passage, aka the fortress.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose that's the other thing you find looking through the blueprints. Slid in between 2 of the blueprints is a letter. As you look at this letter, the letter is in a more sketchy hand than you've sort of seen any of the other ones. It looks a lot rougher, and judging by potentially a number of like ink smears on the paper, possibly the person who wrote this was left-handed. The letter basically, without going into too much detail, the letter basically is addressed to Lathaman himself, and the contents of the letter basically states that Lathaman's attempts to make secure these items is it's a great idea, but the writer is concerned that the design of the security leads to some potentials for abuse. Primarily, if it says if you yourself were to fall unwell, become incapacitated, become maimed in some way that you could no longer control the system would effectively be unable to be shut down. And yeah, the primary concern of the letter writer is that essentially if Lathamon himself were to become incapacitated or maimed in some way, the security would be would effectively lock out all other people, and this would become a concern. And the letter is signed off, and it basically says, "I hope to hear from your response, and hope you find a solution to this soon." And the signature is NS.
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 Not sure what NS would stand for.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, you have no idea. Unless, yeah, you've never heard of it.
Oh, just have to find out eventually, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, unless one of your companions might know.
Yes. Although, I guess Elizabeth, you do Dwarvish?
That's actually one of the few languages I don't speak.
Can't believe
God
it.
damn it.
The one time I need. Well, I said the one time.
The one.
As if all the other times already that like it didn't help out.
Yeah. No, I speak Common, Primordial, Auran, Elvish, Gnomish, Infernal, and Draconic.
Wow.
Not Dwarvish.
Well, we'll make it work.
Although something that is probably on a priority list at some point for whenever we get downtime, learn Dwarvish.
Could also try and get comprehend languages instead.
I'm pretty sure I do have comprehend languages. In fact, yes, I do.
Okay. As you are flipping through your spellbook, Elizabeth, Kelariis and Arya come downstairs.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess
in fact, I do have comprehend languages.
nice. Well, I guess we inform them of our discoveries.
Okay.
Yes.
Elizabeth
is very excited and animated in her discussion.
But then I guess I haven't told Elizabeth why yet. I'll mention that the Lady of Rot has a good chance that she might be some kind of demon lord or being, considering her face is among these on the, or like I believe it's among one of these on this book.
Well,
And
give me a
Puck recognized some of them, so
give me a moment and I'll quickly cast some.
Yeah. I just
Like
as a point of
ritual
clarification, you whilst you have that association out of character, you haven't necessarily made that association in character just yet. It was just a book that you picked up. You looked at it and Puck went, "Oh, I recognize some of those," and you were just like, "Oh, maybe this is interesting." So yeah, you haven't. That connection is there out of character, but not in character. But yeah, just.
I
to
guess
be clear.
like it might also contain something about Ferrous Dune or whatever.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Anyway, ritual casting comprehend languages. In 10 minutes, I'll be able to read that book.
Read that book.
It's a real
I guess
challenge.
In the meantime, Arya and I found a book in. It was a bedside table?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it was a bedside table. In a bedside table upstairs.
Oh.
It's looks surprisingly new. But we didn't really want to mess with it until everybody was up there.
That's fair enough.
Well, yes, there are some things are trapped in here, but you might.
Yeah.
Although she did, I assume she would have warned us if anything else. Yeah. Like, we were only to stay out of the basement, really. Well, and I guess she has some respect to her belongings, but as long as we don't take it they will be fine.
You know, if it weren't for the mushrooms and the urgent sense of we need to save the world, this would probably be my idea of heaven.
We might need to work on your idea of heaven.
Well,
But-
I mean, look at this. I'm in the library of a legendary
You're
wizard.
ritual casting. Shush. You're focusing on a ritual. Hush.
Shush.
I can
Oh, sorry.
multitask.
It
It's not a complicated spell.
it isn't. It was 9 heads. I was mistaken. It's 9
Ah, okay.
heads.
It's not a
Just set the
complicated
camera.
spell. I can multitask.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, you finish your ritual casting.
Right, give me that book.
And yeah, the dwarvish runes shift in front of your eyes, and yeah, in dwarvish runes, this essentially says Demonomicon.
Oh. Oh. Well, yeah, Elizabeth's reaction is probably just like grab the book, take a moment. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is a book on demons.
Probably just turn it to face everyone, just like, Demonomicon, anyone?
Demonomicon?
Well, that would be. Well, depending on what's in it, it might be very useful.
I'm gonna start reading this book now.
Okay. So, taking the time, you sort of flick through this book, and yeah, you quickly, from the illustrations inside, pick out the 9 faces. 2 of them belong to Demogorgon, because Demogorgon has 2 heads.
Sounds about right.
But you pick out Baphomet, Demogorgon, Frazer Blue, Grazd, Jubilex, Orcus, Yonogu, and Zugatmoy. And it's as you get to the end of the book, and you spot Zugatmoy, who at first you thought it was like a serpent's hood that she had around her head.
It's a mushroom.
You realise it's a mushroom.
Boom.
Zugatmoy, the demon queen of fungi, or the lady of rot.
Yep.
Oh, well,
I guess she'd probably reach that point and start reading out loud.
Yeah. Some sages believe she is the originator of all fungi and molds, from the mushrooms that grow in the forest to the deadliest forms of yellow mold.
well,
Those who study demons argue that Zugatmoy isn't merely the patron of all fungi, and that her ultimate goal is to meld all living creatures into one great organism. But yes.
well, as much as I would like to say that we should act on this, I also think we do not have the ability to do anything about this whatsoever.
We need to pick our fights. Maybe on our best days we could take on the Cabal or a literal demon.
Although if we could
Demon Lord.
Demon Lord.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
we could take on both at once.
well,
On our own, on an
partially-
island, far away from help, where there's no easy way of escape.
also
Ferrous, could
I
you write down the names of the
demon lords.
from the book, please?
You mean you don't have Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes open in front of you?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I can
have-
grab it if you really want me to.
Yeah, I've got Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes closed on my desk next to me.
Yeah. Well,
You have the book if it's easy for me to look for it. I
that,
can-
yes. No. I'm typing them out.
Oh, thank
He's
you.
being facetious.
Well,
He's a little
Also, my brain
shitty.
was
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm literally
what I'm saying,
reading
like-
from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, when you said Demon Lord, my brain was just like getting ready to go like, oh, like trying to recognize one of them, and then I went, oh wait, no, the one I'm thinking of is a fiend, not a demon.
Also,
Well-
I,
So I was
certainly don't
totally
know
ready
how
to be
I feel
like,
about-
oh, that's the hot warrior one. It's like, wait, no, that's a fiend.
Yeah.
I really don't know how I feel about giving over any sort of artifact to any demon lord. Just throwing that one out there.
But do you want to? Well, like we'll have to discuss that later.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to give it over to the Cabal?
I mean, I think
Well-
they're both pretty bad options.
Well, I'd say I think if we're gonna have a quarrel about it, we should probably not do it in the home of the person. Also,
But there's definitely a lot of useful books in here.
yeah.
So what about this other book you found?
Oh, I found some blueprints. They might these seem that like they might be like the original draft. I don't know if they've changed anything.
There seem to be the original plans for a fortress. Yes.
Sounds useful.
Yes.
Highly
I'm
promising.
planning on. I should probably try and draw a copy if I can.
You can certainly try.
Well, that means we can look upstairs, and while I'm reading yet another book, you can do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. As much as I just want to
Glad I
take it.
spelt her name absolutely wrong in my notes the first time.
Lol.
Well, like
Wait, which one? Because they're all a bit.
Well, Demogorgon, Gorgon,
I mean,
and Jublex are not too
the
hard, but the
first,
rest.
like-
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The only ones that I wouldn't have known how to spell just by hearing them is the third one and the one for the Lady of Rot. Like, the rest of them are... I may have missed the I in Jublex?
Jublex.
The words are hard, but
Yeah.
I can spell the rest of them. Like, that's
See,
not...
my brain keeps reading it as Jubilex.
No, Jublex. It's
It's Jubilex, not Jubilex.
fun tangent. There's a part in Dragon Quest Builders 2 where you get a slime companion and you have to name him, and that's what I named my slime companion.
Of course.
Wow.
Oh, of course.
A fate you would not wish upon anyone.
The Faceless Lord, Jublex, responsible for spawning oozes found throughout the world.
Gross.
Fantastic.
The Lord of
Anyway,
Thieves.
big magic book.
Oh, I don't know
So-
if it's big or magic, but, you know.
I mean, if it's untarnished, it's probably magic.
Grim, you spend some time trying to copy these maps. If only you'd brought another gnome who has a feature that would let her literally replicate this identically. But never
Yeah.
mind. She probably would have been a bit more hesitant to come with you to the literal Hell Island.
Oh no, God, yeah, I can imagine. I would not want to bring her to the Hell Island.
Well, like I could like use my spare bits and bobs to like make a device that like I just have to trace it, and then like you know you have like a pen attached on the other side on another piece of paper, and it draws.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
Okay.
you can definitely trace it. It's not difficult. But,
Ah,
yeah, you could have had a
overcomplicated
perfect copy.
Is this why Grim just like doesn't get anything done? Is because he does these like really.
Yeah.
They work, but they take forever.
Just
to build.
makes a fucking Rube Goldberg device
Yeah.
to do anything.
Person
Yeah.
need
Uh,
Rube Goldberg machines to do like really simple shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just for the hell of it, that's
I mean,
grim.
yeah. Let's be honest. If anyone's got a Rube Goldberg machine to make them toast in the morning, it's fucking great.
look,
It is.
some gnomish instincts cannot be removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
The urge to make Rube Goldberg machines out of everything. Oh no, now my brain's just imagining like fucking Grim waking up like full Wallace and Gromit style.
See,
Yeah, just gets out of bed. with
Yeah, just the
machine.
bed leans up, he goes down a slide and it all starts,
see,
it all
I
starts making his breakfast for him.
I
it gets
feel
him
like-
dressed.
I feel like Grim's Rube Goldberg device to get his breakfast in the morning is a piece of string that goes out of his window, and it just drops a bucket of water on Vondal.
Damn.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, what else do we pay him for?
Wow.
Apparently to get washed.
Yeah, you pay him to like literally run everything while you're off playing the hero, not to make you breakfast.
That's just a side effect.
You need to hire a chef for that.
Vondal's pretty good at cooking.
Soon we'll have a chef.
I started saying that and then thought about it.
Anyway, so the three of you go upstairs and investigate this book.
Yes.
The book is lying in the drawer. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, while I as a person, I'm definitely thinking about this, Elizabeth would not. I'm gonna pick up the book.
Okay. The book is picked up.
Yay! I'm gonna read the book.
Okay. You open the book. Make me a wisdom saving throw.
Hooray!
Kidding.
Saw that
Joke.
coming from 10,000 miles away.
Well,
No,
regardless, if it's magic or a magical effect, I get advantage.
no, you don't actually have to make a wisdom saving throw. I'm just trolling.
Oh,
I was
Just
immediately
fucking with
going
us.
back to when we were in that in the prison demi-plane.
Yeah.
Who fucking
Yeah.
opened the book and everything just went to
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Grim.
Yeah.
Grim literally like opened a book, like almost blinded himself, and then a demon appeared.
Yep.
I didn't blind myself.
You
I
didn't. You made the
disarmed
Constitution saving throw, which was good.
Like I disarmed the trap. Everything was fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think we've had discussions about disarming traps with your face before and how it's not a good idea.
I mean,
Ahem.
it kind of works.
If there's one person who gets to talk about disarming traps with their face, it is not you.
Well, no, this is
Damn.
this is exactly what I'm referring to. I'm saying it's not Grim either because he disarmed that trap with his face.
Anyway, so you open this book. As a person who is proficient in arcane abilities, the thing that is keeping this book so immaculate is not the book. Is nothing about the book itself. It is the book jacket.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, it is a red leather book jacket, fit around a fairly regular book. And the contents of the book appear to be a diary.
Perfect.
I feel like that's not the response you should have.
I have the
Yeah,
diary
like-
of a legendary wizard.
No,
We
you
know that.
you have the diary
Oh.
of Lady Vasulia Erdwin.
Oh. Still. Oh, that's still good. Maybe.
Oh, Grim isn't there.
Well,
Yeah, I'm still gonna read it.
okay, you're gonna read it. So,
I'm snooping.
picking through a number of the more notable entries, you essentially piece together like a short timeline of events, probably over the process of 10, maybe 15 years. This diary has been written. It is they are not daily entries. Otherwise, the book would be enormous.
Well, yeah.
But
Are they dated?
yeah, many of them are dated. Many of them are all of them are dated. Many of them are following the what diaries generally used to be used for. It's the writing of the diary seems to be an escapism for the young Lady Vasulia Erdwin, who the diary begins with her basically the arrangement of her marriage to a member of the Council of Eight, one Arya Lathaman. Lady Vasulia Erdwin, and this is where your that annoying itch in the back of your mind gets scratched, as Lady Vasulia Erdwin, first daughter of the Lord Erdwin, who basically was the ruling monarch for the northern area of the northern human kingdom where you hail from, Elizabeth. So yeah, the Erdwins used to be the royal family in that northern district or
Cool.
area. Yeah, she is betrothed to one Arya Lathaman. After he lends his assistance in besting the elves who are raiding the province. The Lady Vasulia is initially sort of hesitant towards this, but once she meets Lathaman, is not opposed to the idea. However, it quickly becomes clear that Lathaman has no intention of staying in the north. He travels away and postpones their formal engagement for a long time to basically go and do research. When he eventually returns, after the space of a year or so, he basically has laid claim to an island where he will take the Lady Vasulia to go and live. Her father really doesn't give a damn because he's trying to fight a war with the elves.
Yep.
She leaves, is housed in a spectacular mansion, and all but ignored by her fiancé, who is busy most of the times on the opposite side of the island doing arcane research, and spends more time with his companions, one Mordenkainen and a couple of others, than he spends with her. She very rapidly becomes disillusioned with the marriage, and begins to she talks of her desires looking to look beyond this loveless engagement that he has no intentions of, or seemingly no intentions of fulfilling. She seems to she spends a lot of time wandering around the town, seems to fall in love with a member of the community, and is rejected, as she's the fiancée of the all-powerful wizard who watches over the island. This seems to lead to a great deal of upset and despondency until she is contacted by somebody that she refers to as the Lady of Rot. She talks about some plans to basically turn the members of the village against Lathman, and the final entry talks about my plans will finally come to fruition tonight, and the Lady of Rot has promised me that if I do this and a few other things, then I will become legendary, basically. So.
I mean, I guess Elizabeth's first thing after spending ages reading this book is to probably just look up and be like, so, never learn about your heroes as people. That's a pretty standard rule, I think.
I don't know if you've told us like anything about what you were reading.
I imagine Elizabeth has just sped read through this in like 20
Yeah,
minutes.
exactly. Yeah.
And said nothing.
She's just read the whole thing and then just said that one comment out of nowhere.
Would you like to elaborate, or?
Basically, and then yeah, now she tells the story.
Okay.
And then she probably said it. In other words, Lathamon wasn't very nice.
Newsflash.
Well, it wasn't that he wasn't nice, he just completely neglected his fiancée for his career.
Yeah, that means he's not nice.
Wow.
Nice.
It was an arranged marriage, he didn't necessarily want it either.
Yeah, but you know, you still try and make it work. You don't just neglect someone just because it's like, nah. That's mean.
Some people will, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's mean.
Disagreeing.
That's mean and impolite.
Depends on how you do it, I guess.
So yeah, there you go. There's a nice bit of background. I'm going to put this back now.
I don't really know if we should have read that, but...
Probably not, but we've read it now.
Correction, you read it.
Okay, yeah. But it's too late now. It's been read.
The two of you stand there in silence.
Tell me what to...
So now what?
Well, Grim hasn't come up yet, I assume.
No, he's still busy copying.
I mean, we can go downstairs and... I was gonna say hang out, and I was like, Clarice would not say hang out with Grim.
I'm gonna hang out.
Hang out while Grim finishes copying a goddamn map. Yeah, I mean, unless we want to stay up here, we can at least all be in the same room downstairs.
Or we could look around at what are presumably guest rooms. I mean, if we are going to take up an offer and just stay where there's not danger outside.
I think either would be a good idea.
Yeah, it works.
Well, I mean, you guys have already been up here. I want to have a look around. So, like, yeah.
Yeah.
What you guys want, I suppose. And, like, Elizabeth will awkwardly, like, shuffle out of the room
Okay. So you
and go to look around all the other rooms.
cool. Make me an investigation check then. Okay. Yeah, you don't find anything more than Kelariis discovered, really.
Yeah. But I'm also just like, you know, places to sleep that hopefully aren't the master bedroom. That's mainly what she's looking for.
Yeah, there are a number of guest rooms. From observing the beds, you probably shouldn't sleep in them because most of them are black with decay.
Yeah.
But they are rooms with doors that you could lie on the floor in your bedrolls.
And Liam's tiny hut. Yeah, in hindsight, I shouldn't have said Mordekainem. I should have said Liaman. That might have gone better.
It might have done.
Well,
Oh well.
Hindsight 2020.
Okay.
That's also too late.
So, eventually the four of you are gathered downstairs. The map is copied.
Yep. So I guess what's the plan now?
I guess we should rest and then we should set out tomorrow.
Are we really planning on fighting our way through whatever is on the other side of the island to get into that fort?
Maybe not the whole thing.
I think we should try to find a way through that doesn't involve fighting first. And save fighting as a backup plan.
Well, we're probably... Odds are we will encounter some people. And, like, as much as I like the idea of us just sneaking past, that would involve us making ourselves very vulnerable.
Well, think about it, right? If this is some sort of weird trial that they're throwing us through, they're probably sitting around looking for the thing so they can follow us to the thing and make sure we get it and then just steal it from us after we've wasted our time. What if we just did that to them? They want this thing, we don't actually want the thing, we just want them to not have it, so why don't we just wait for them to deal with the army?
Because
And then we'll just follow them in while they're exhausted.
We run the risk of missing them getting it.
Yeah, I suppose.
And they have a
Also-
lot...
Oh, no, go.
No, go ahead first. You go first.
Oh, I was going to say, like, they don't necessarily know that we're here, right?
You
I mean,
just
they
assume.
probably know they're running it. Wait, they probably assume that we're coming after them. Whether or not they figured out that we're here yet is a question.
Well, I mean, probably not. We only arrived
The-
a couple of days ago, and they've
Yeah.
both been in the north.
The
And
information
we've not left a ship.
the information you
Fine.
had on the island as well was gleaned after they left.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
and also,
so,
like...
Well, no, Elizabeth was saying, or, well, I don't know if that was in or out of character, but, like, saying that we're being set up for this as a test, like, I don't know if that's necessarily... I don't think that at least Kelariis has made that leap of logic. So,
okay.
I don't know.
I mean, that was in character.
Okay, well, that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure that was in character, and I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
if Kelariis believes that, which is why comment was made, but...
But yeah, she's just gonna be like, I don't know, like, we've got to find some way through it, and we're not gonna be able to sneak through this fortress easily, if at all. Not as a group, anyway.
I mean, I could always go in alone.
Mm,
Get the artifact, get out.
Yeah, I'm
See,
sure that'd go very well.
I fear that will need there will be plenty of magical trickery and
Lady
some-
Vasulia did say as well that the measures guarding it were designed by the minds of a generation of geniuses, so it suggests there may be problems to solve on the other side of the army as well. So
yeah.
And like, I suppose fighting the army doesn't necessarily have to be like a, like we have to like blitz through in one go kind of thing. It's not like we have to take them all on at once.
Except they can apparently repair themselves. I'm not concerned about fighting a couple of them, maybe even maybe a couple of handfuls may be concerning. It's hard to say at this point, but having any sort of prolonged encounters with a large group of them will probably go badly for any of us here.
Well, I don't know. We'd have to see if we could find a way to damage them beyond repair potentially. That's why I've been doing all of this research.
Yeah, but as long as there are some of them, it sounds like they can repair each other. I may have misunderstood something, but...
No. You haven't misunderstood that at all. I'm saying we can break them beyond repair. Because there's only, like, even with magic, there's only so much you can do. And I don't know if they'd have the resources to just straight up make more of them.
from reading Lathman's notes on the adaptive army as well, it's not quite like being able to repair like there in the moment. It's a case of they would recover the damaged chassis, take it back, make the repairs over the matter of a day or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too. So they'd have to recover all of the stuff. Like, it's the same. Like, yeah, they can repair themselves. It's basically the same as us healing each other, or bringing ourselves back from the dead. We still have to actually have the body or the injured person.
And the resources.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not like they can just like, oh look, here's just the head. Boom! It's fine now.
Unless you're a Ninth Levels podcaster.
Yeah, which I don't think they are.
Well, no.
Their creators were almost certainly capable of that level of magic, but
Well, possibly not even that level of magic, because they were wizards, not clerics.
well, yeah, whatever. Wish exists.
But Wish cannot cast True Resurrection, because they're both Ninth Level spells.
No, it can't.
Well, it can, but you have massive risks of.
Yes. Anyway.
But it can also, I'm just saying, there's probably an infinite number of spells they could have used that would have the same effect. Anyway. Like, it's not like they can just, like, regenerate from just a piece of scrap. And they have to recover everything that's left. They're not gonna have infinite resources out here. Not unless this fortress is equipped with gatherers and smiths and like it takes a lot to run an army.
Well, there is one thing. Like I imagine the army is mostly just idling. So like the cost of like an army that is, well, you don't need to feed. You don't need. Well, the gear. I don't know how their gear would work out, but I'm
Well,
pretty
their
sure
gear is their bodies, and they still use weapons.
Yeah, but like, no, what I meant was their weapons. But I assume Like, if they expected these things to survive for centuries, you're not going to hand them a weapon that will fall apart after, like, a couple of years.
Well, if they can repair themselves, they're almost certainly capable of basic maintenance.
Judging by the mechanoids that you discovered outside that were destroyed, it does seem like some of them were armed with magic weapons, but not all of them.
Yeah, it's like basic weapon maintenance is almost certainly something that they must be capable of if they're to last this long. But they probably don't have the resources to just make new stuff. They're probably just fighting on with what they've got.
Well, see,
As most armies would be if they'd been assigned a garrison for hundreds of years.
Anyway, this conversation is getting us nowhere.
yeah,
Let's
but like,
just assume that fighting them not ideal.
Yeah.
Because we were going round and around this argument.
yeah.
Well, can
Well,
I then do
so-
more research?
You could potentially do more research here in the library, but the problem you currently have is you lack current information.
Yeah.
All of your information is 1,000 years out of date.
I mean, we can also do some reconnaissance, like before we just like charge in to see what we're up against.
Well,
Correct.
Well, yeah, we're not just going to charge straight into the fortress.
So I think we'll learn more probably like at the
Well, yeah, I feel
place.
our next step is to find out exactly what this army is capable of, and the best way to do that is to fight it for a bit. Maybe recover some of the chassis.
I don't know if fighting it for a bit is the best idea, but
That's the best way
See,
to do
we-
it.
Well, no, I mean, as in like we find like an outlying patrol or scout party, take them out, and then examine the
But
wreckage.
Yeah, but that is not what this, like, from what I understood, that is not what this army is doing. That's what the Cabal is doing. This army only needs to guard. It's not patrolling, necessarily.
Well, that's another thing we just have to find out for ourselves. Regardless, I think we do need to go to the north of the island
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So how about-
DM interjection. There is very little you can continue to learn here. So.
Well, I was
Yeah,
just about to
because
say,
I
how
also, like-
about we just go to sleep, and then we head north in the morning.
Yes, well, that was
Sounds like
that
a
was
plan.
the plan all along, but
Cool. I'm gonna make a hut.
Okay. Are you doing that upstairs in the room?
I mean, I might as well just do
Um,
it here. Like, what's the fucking point? It's still just the same room. It's just a room in the building. And also, the upper floors are likely might be unstable. I don't want to like fall through the floor in the middle of the night.
Okay. So you're making it here in the library.
Unless anyone else has objections.
The library's cramped, isn't
well,
it?
I don't know
Yeah.
what's.
Well, the library is only slightly smaller than the dome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 10-foot radius. So yeah. I mean, we could go into the dining hall
I just don't
or
want
up
to.
in this guest room.
Well, we were offered the chambers, and I feel like she might, odds are that she's not gonna sit in her chamber the entire night.
Okay, we'll go to.
And I feel like it might be a little bit rude to just be like, "Oh no, we claimed the library. Oh, by the way, we're in this shell so you can't actually do anything." like-
Okay, guest room it is.
Okay. So you set up Learmon's tiny hut in the guest room, and you go to sleep.
Ye-
And we will use that opportunity to take a short rest ourselves.